Well, the white t-shirts are on, and that can only mean one thing. It's time to adjust your shorts and prepare yourselves to get kicked in the dick by the news. Or at least what I think the internet wants us to think is the news. What could go wrong? If you're just listening to this, you can also catch me over on YouTube. That's on the Bomb With Me Comedy YouTube channel. And all the videos are there. You can't Google it, but you can go and find it right on YouTube. And I hear if you say YouTube enough times, it boosts your viewers. So YouTube, YouTube, YouTube. And then you spin around, you jump, and you clap your hands, and you break a mirror. And then all of a sudden, you're famous. And I was approached by a bum the other day. A relatively aggressive bum, actually, here in Durango, which is where we're working on a different cabin in the woods. In the snow, by the way, 4 fresh inches of powder, so we won't be bothering with that. A little dust on crust for your bums, for your bum sniffer. But we were down in Durango, and my buddy and I, who's up here working on the cabin with me, we're walking, and we walk on the same side of the street as 3 bums who were just hanging out, talking real loud. Like, you can tell when somebody, you know how like when somebody's in a restaurant and they talk loud, they want attention? Same thing. But I'll be damned if I'm crossing the street, okay? I'm the pit bull, all right? I don't need to cross the street to avoid bums or black people, okay? I just don't do it. Even though evidence suggests maybe you should, okay? So we passed these 3 bums, one of which was wearing the coolest old school ski goggles I've seen in a hot minute. So cred points, street points. If you live on the street, all points are street cred points. But the big one, he recognizes the opportunity. He didn't see us coming. He wasn't facing our way. And so when we walk by, he like whoop, 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 and fucking locksteps with us and starts walking. And I say my normal go-to, which is, how you doing? Meaning, leave me the fuck alone, okay? How you doing is fuck off. Okay? Is street lang for fuck off. Fuck the fuck off. And he launches into, well, I'm not doing too bad, but I'm not doing too great. And so I go, look, I'm not interested. And he goes, not interested in what? And I go, whatever the fuck you're going to say next. And he's like, well, I didn't ask you for anything. I'm like, yeah, but you're about to. And he goes, well, you're presumptuous. I go, you know what? Leave us alone. He goes, or what? I go, you know what? Enjoy your walk. Feel free to join us. I go, look, you can ask and I can say no. And he goes, yeah, but I didn't ask. And I go, oh my God, have a nice night. And then he finally turned back. So that's how you can deal with urchins. I mean, that's the reality. I shouldn't feel guilty because you choose not to work. I go, yeah, I work too hard. And he started talking some bullshit about work. But I can't remember. I can't remember why I got onto that topic. So it must be neither here nor there. So let's jump into some news. We've got a lot to cover. And ladies and gentlemen, Pam Bondi. There isn't much out there that gives me as much pleasure as watching Pam Bondi squirm, as she obviously is just a fucking puppet. And it's like you can see that she knows she's a puppet. Not only is she angry about what she's saying, I think she's angry about who she's defending. I think she knows exactly where she's at. And I think maybe she's one of the captives. I have this theory that our golden leader, and I use the term loosely, leader that is, he's very golden. And he's in his golden years anyway. Yeah, he's sleepy like Biden was all of a sudden. I really do think they put him under ice and then wake him up whenever they need him. But I think Pam Bondi might have Stockholm Syndrome. And I think Kristi Noem might have Stockholm Syndrome. If you notice, Trump surrounds himself with women of a certain look, okay? And I will not go so far as to call them attractive, but they're not piggies, as Trump would say. Hush, quiet, piggy. They're not piggies, okay? So they have some of the characteristics that you could call handsome or pretty-ish, okay? They're pretty-ish if it weren't for the soul that you can also see in there. See, this is the thing. You know, you see these older photos of both Pam Bondi and Kristi Noem, and it's like, oh yeah, there's a person in there. See, but I think that maybe, just maybe, these women that Trump surrounds himself with were women that he found along the way, along Lolita Express Airway or something like that. Maybe somewhere in near Mar-a-Lago, in Palm Beach, say, perhaps. Palm Beach, like where the guy with the blue and white stripes used to live. Maybe, perhaps. See, I think maybe these women were also victims. Maybe, just maybe, they accepted the deal. The one that they offered when this young girl is like crying in a corner after some political figurehead or member of the monarchy even accidentally almost killed them, making what Jeffrey Epstein called loved the torture video. I think maybe when Pam Bondi was in the corner crying like she should be, and somebody should have reached in and rescued her, but instead what happened was the people that, you know, did the thing that made her cry, maybe, offered her a deal and said, you stay mum on this, and we're going to give you everything you want. Because what I see when I look at this woman's face is a bit of a tortured individual, actually. You know, unless she just likes the money and, you know, she was told, hey, we'll give you a lot of money and lots of opportunities to really lie to people. Maybe she likes lying. But in this, Pam Bondi clashes with Democrats during her Epstein Files hearing. And just once again, I mean, to actually cover what this is, she completely just obfuscates over and over and over again, refuses to answer questions, and does so with a level of contrition that is reminiscent of teenage behavior. Just, I'm not gonna do that. Like, you can see the face that she's making. Also, Pam Bondi, just so you know, smoking cigarettes is how you get lips like that. Ooh. Think you need to get some lube on them lips there, old Pammy. Moving on. House GOP pushes strict proof of citizenship requirements for voters. I mean, shouldn't we be making sure the people who are voting are citizens of the United States? You can't walk into Venezuela. You can't walk into a second world country and vote for their leadership. You can't go right next door to Mexico, where shit's fucking lax. Let me tell you, one of the reasons I love Mexico is it is lax down there. Like, I'm always hearkening back to, like, a government shutdown is looming again right now. And it's like, great, we don't want any more policies. Which, strangely enough, is the same way that you spell police, policy, policey. It's like they make policy and then they police, they enforce the policies. It's like, government has been happening for a couple hundred years now in this country. And I don't think that technology changes society fast enough for us to be needing more civil policies. Like, why don't you go try to get some bad guys or something? Let's stop making policies, more rules for us to adhere to so that you can steal from us, essentially. Like, oh, you know what? we don't have enough money here. Let's make a new policy about crossing the street where the lines don't exist. If you tried to enforce a jaywalking law in Mexico, fuck me, they would just laugh at you. You should go driving in Mexico. For everyone out there who thinks that, it's good to live this hard in the lines, like, color outside the lines once or twice. Go to Mexico, drive further than Tijuana, and you'll see. Not only is it way more efficient to ignore some of the lines on the road and some of the signs on the road too, but it, well, I guess it's just more efficient. It's also fun. Okay, what I'm saying is when you pass on the left in a very dangerous curve, but the guy on the right's giving you plenty of room, and he's got a big truck, and it seems like there's nobody coming, you take that chance. But also, the guy coming doesn't freak out. When a guy does come around the corner, he goes, oh, I see what's happening, and he just budges over onto his own shoulder, the oncoming, and then everybody's fine. Maybe they might give you a beep, beep. They might give you a little, hey, man, this is a rough corner beep, but they use their horns as a way of communicating. And it's like, also, one thing that I've noticed is if you're waiting on a long line of traffic in the United States, everyone says, fuck you. Maybe a nice guy will get the Convenience of the Month award and they'll let you in. The Common Courtesy of the Month award. That's what my dad used to call it. But down there, it's like they see you. They just let you in. They know it's a traffic jam. But they're all moving to the same direction. And so they just let you jump right on in. They'll wave you in. They give you the beep, beep. Hey, go ahead. So anyway, yeah, that's my take on I think we need to make sure and at least enforce that if you want to vote for a public official, you have to be a citizen of the country for whom you are voting, for which, of which, and by which you are voting for some public official. Okay, moving on. Homeland security officials voice concerns about the looming shutdown. Yeah. So if you haven't been following along, the looming shutdown is specifically targeting the ICE BS. Be ice. Be nice. Be ice. What a bunch of be-icers, huh? But I just love that the play, they're like the play on words. Washington, disruption in reimbursements to states for disaster relief costs, delays in cybersecurity response and training, and missed paychecks for agents who screen passengers and bags at the nation's airports, which could lead to unscheduled absences and longer wait times for travelers. Yeah, that's why they're shutting it down. That's what we should... So the argument from the other side of the aisle, right, from the side that wants ICE, be ICE, they're saying, yeah, but what if, well, your travel times might be longer. That's where they've got us by, they know they've got us by the balls when they start talking travel time. Ooh, nothing's sexier than when they start talking travel time, huh? Your travel time's going to be longer. Like, who doesn't love going to the, you know what? Fuck it. It doesn't really matter. You don't have to take your shoes off anyway. Fucking, they don't even give you bins anymore. And don't get me started on that. When did that start happening? About a year ago, we were flying back from Somewheresville, and the chick at the airport was like, no, you got to put your stuff that's in your pockets in your bag. And my bag is stuffed full. I mean, it's hard to zip it. It's a backpack. And I use it to travel for a week. That means I need the tray. And I'm like, the tray's right here. What? She said, I don't know what to say. She was just mad at me for needing a tray. There's a stack of trays. What the fuck? And it happened again, actually, just a couple weeks ago when we were heading down to Cozumel. Safe flight. They didn't give us a tray. They just made us put the stuff. I'm like, you know what? It was better when I took my shoes off. At least if you made me take my shoes off, I'd be able to put them in a shoe. My keys, my wallet, the little stuff, the change, the sunglasses, the stuff that doesn't go in the fucking bag. So yeah, you know what? Fuck it. TSA's doing shit all anyway. Fuck them. Those were just some of the potential ramifications of a looming funding lapse at the Department of Homeland Security, according to officials who testified before a House panel on Wednesday. That was a testimony. This is becoming more and more outrageous. This is just an absolute joke, and everyone knows it. Because the whole thing is Congress has approved a full year funding for the vast majority of the federal government, but has only passed a short-term funding patch for the Department of Homeland Security that extends through Friday in response to the killing of 2 American citizens in Minneapolis and other incidents. Yeah, we're not going to fund you to shoot us. Nobody cares if the flight time is a little longer. You don't get to walk around with your big fat gun-toting fat and shoot people. No training. All right, well, that's getting excited. Let's keep it going here. Border Czar announces Minnesota immigration operation surge is ending. So here you go. He says, I don't want to see any more bloodshed. So what do? How does this work? Well, we fire the guy who was in charge, and then we bring in the border czar, who actually seems like he's got his head on his shoulders. Like, he's like pivoting left, pivoting right, going, oh yeah, no, we actually, he said there needs to be more training and stricter measures. And it's like, yeah, that's what needs to happen. You don't get to shoot American citizens on American soil because you said you're ICE now. Like we don't even have to fucking check and see. You know what I mean? So good news there. Border Czar announces Minnesota immigration operations surge is ending. Good. Hence this is part of the softer touch that old Trumpy poo was needing. It's a softer touch on it. Yeah, perhaps a softer touch. Yeah, one where you don't kill people is necessary inside of our own homeland. All right, moving on. Why was the El Paso airport shut down? What we know. Okay, this was a kind of a tricky one. Yesterday, El Paso announced that, America announced, or the Department of Homeland Security, someone announced, there's so many IAs and AIAs and C 3-letter POs and all this shit. I don't know who says what, but I do know what's happening. And yesterday they announced that the El Paso airport was going to be shut down for 10 days for national security measures. Now, here's what had happened was, okay, what they're saying is the FAA said that the cause was due to a cartel drone incursion, according to Transportation Security Sean Duffy. Though El Paso Mayor Renard Johnson said drones being flown along the border are nothing new. Now, what it seems like actually happened was, because Mexico said, yeah, we didn't have any issues. Why was it closed? Was it a drone incursion? There are conflicting reports about what caused the airspace over El Paso to be closed. An administration told USA Today that drones controlled by Mexican cartels had breached U.S. airspace, but CBS News and the New York Times reported that something else had happened. Our military's failure to coordinate with aviation officials to test counter-drone technology had prompted the shutdown. We wanted to test our new anti-drone high-energy laser weapon. We didn't tell them, the military didn't tell the airport that we were going to test it. We just tested it, and that's why the airport shut down. Once again, the United States of America. We are going to have to rename ourselves something else sometime very soon. The disgraceful place of embarrassment. I don't know. That sounds pretty good. Oh, my God. All right. ABC. Let's see what's going on. U.S. allies at NATO focus on Europe as the Trump administration steps back. Yeah, we're backing out of the largest longstanding agreement of military protection against a single surge of power because we are becoming the surge of power. It's like, I mean, it would only be a little smarter if they stayed in NATO and did the surge and kept just screwing it all up. At least there's a little bit of honesty here where it's like Mark Rubio didn't attend December's meeting, and then now who just bailed on? Oh, then Pete Hegseth didn't join the meeting, I think like on Thursday, right? Yeah. First of all, also, nobody wants Pete Hegseth anywhere. He's a fucking Muppet. He's a Muppet. He's a bad guy. You can see it on his face. He wants the war. He wants to claim warrior ethos, even though what the fuck was he, a reservist or something? Ah, what a pussy. I want to fight that guy too. So yeah, we're backing out of NATO. We're not interested in helping anymore. We're going to just take some shit, I guess, is the news. Let's see here. Nicolas Maduro, according to NBC News, is still the legitimate leader of Venezuela, the country's acting president said in an exclusive interview with NBC News. I can tell you, this is a quote, I can tell you, President Nicolas Maduro is the legitimate president. I will tell you this as a lawyer that I am. Both President Maduro and Celia Flores, the First Lady, are both innocent. Acting President Delcy Rodriguez told NBC News, meet the press, blah, 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 in Caracas with her. Okay, yeah. So that was her first interview since taking the office. And her stance is, Maduro's still the leader. Even though he still is sitting in a federal detention facility in New York, after being captured by U.S. forces last month. Also, another energy weapon, by the way. That one, if you remember, they radar cooked them and resonated their insides so that everybody on the compound, including the president and the first lady, were like sick to their stomachs and like vomiting and shit. And then also gave him like 6 changes of clothes, too. So we don't, the jury's out on that one. All right, CNN. Nancy Guthrie. Okay, yeah, this, just because I don't know why, Nancy Guthrie's search, investigators sift through thousands of tips in a hunt for new clues. Why is it national news that this 84-year-old woman has gone missing from her Tucson home? Why is this being covered at all? I'm lost, so I just put it on there. It's been national news, covered on the homepage for all national news networks, except for finally Google Today for the first day didn't show it, but it was on CNN's home screen. Like, what do we care? There's bigger stuff going on. An 84-year-old woman disappeared. They checked some septic tanks, and then they got some tips. They arrested a guy. They let him go. Maybe she just wandered off. Maybe the coyotes got her. I don't know. I hate to think that way, but she's 84. Little in international news, China's Xi Jinping makes a rare public reference to recent military purges. It's very rare that... oh, by the way, his eyes are all the way open. Just so you know, I didn't pick an image where his eyes are closed. That's fully open. China's top military has grown stronger in the past year in its fight against corruption, President Xi Jinping told the Chinese armed forces on Wednesday, making a rare public reference to the graft probes linked to the country's top generals. Usually, in a dictatorship, you don't really talk about what you're doing or why you did it. In this case, he's claiming that he's purging the military of corruption. Ostensibly a good thing, but I'm guessing that that's not the whole story, based on the fact that that's not how they do it over there. They don't. I mean, I guess it's not how they do it over here too. It's like they do give you the story here, but they give you like 10,000 or 3.5 million documents of also bullshit that you have to sift through. But they do tell you the main story. They just give you a bunch of other shit to sift through. Over there, they usually don't tell you the main story. So it's rare that they would. So it's like, okay, was he corrupt, or is Xi Jinping also just doing what you do when you're in control? You like fire some people every once in a while and make sure everybody's on your side, because that will also get them in lockstep with you if they feel like they can be also put into the past. All right, here we go. And finally, a little bit in the Russia-Ukraine war. Putin's forces knock out power in Ukrainian cities as thousands go without heat. So the war still rages on over there between Russia and the Ukraine. I can't believe he came out the gate saying it was not a war. It's a military operation. And we touted that headline too. We said special military operation in Russia. That's what all of our news said. And yet when we have an 8-day incursion with Iran, we call it the 8-day war with Iran, where not nearly as much shit went on there. And what do they call the Gaza thing? Did they call that a war too? Or was that just, I don't even know. I don't know anymore. It's all so gripping. And it's also adjust your shorts and bring them back down to their normal levels. Consider yourselves kicked in the dick by myself and the news. Once again, I'm Ray Stone. And as always, we will see you on Tuesday. Bye.